Welcome to Your Invisible Power with Life Mastery Consultant Christi Corradi. This is a series of 4 lessons based on a book by the same name, Your Invisible Power, by Genevieve Behrend. We'll dive deep into the powerful concept of your own invisible power, focusing on the art of deciding on your dream, the life you would love to live. That means cutting away anything that isn't your dream and embracing the paradigms that support your vision. This is week 1.
We are moving into a most amazing and powerful content today called Your Invisible Power by Genevieve Behrend. And what I want you to know about this material and content is that it's all about deciding. That's what we've been working on, is to decide for your dream. And deciding is about cutting away what isn't your dream. Okay, and that's where we work with the paradigms and all of those things. But we're going to get started right where we start each one of our calls, and that is with our gratitudes and our proud of. And now we've added a line from your vision statement. I'm so happy and grateful. So I will set the tone by doing my gratitude, proud of, and speaking of my vision. And then I will be silent for a little bit and let you write those down. And then I will do the teaching component of this work. It's really important to understand these principles, and that's why we have the material and the content. I better get going because there's a lot today. Amazing beginning to this work. What a deep dive into it, so hold on for that ride. Let me tell you a little bit more about gratitudes and proud of. That the gratitude is a vibrational frequency that is equivalent to success and money and things revealing themselves. That's like the warp of a weaving, and the weft is like something that you have accomplished that you're proud of. And that is just kind of like you throw the shuttle. It's called a shuttle when you do weaving, and then you change the hurdles, what are they called? Anyway, and then you throw the shuttle again. Those are it's just like when you throw that and it goes through the warp there, it's like this is the steps in the direction. I am moving. It's like that forward momentum that we're creating. So I am grateful today for my son being at college, and I'm feeling great about it. Yeah, a little bit of butterflies and nerves and ups and downs, but yes, I am grateful for my son and the amazing place that he's moved himself to. And I'm actually proud of this content today, proud of how I have a deep understanding of this and how I am planning to share it with you. And then I am so happy and grateful now that I am the woman who is, now remember, this is your 3-year vision. It's not a short-term goal. This is like a longer-term vision. I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm the woman who is relaxing on the beaches of the island of Capri with my husband, and my son has shown up and maybe has brought a friend, and that we are having a wonderful family vacation. And what's so lovely about this, and when you're doing your own vision statement, is that means so many other things. If we are laying there on the beach, enjoying, relaxing, in my vision, it means I've just completed running a retreat, and that all is well, and that things have gone great with my son and husband, and all those things. So one simple statement about your vision, as if it's happening in this moment. So I'll be quiet for a moment, let you write your gratitude and you're proud of. Okay. One of the things I will say is that there are 2 books. They're just different covers. Mostly there is actually a little bit of difference in the introduction, in the forward, but not too much difference. And I will try, if I can, tell you what page numbers I'm reading on from both pages, but I'm mostly working out of the one with the pink cover with the kind of mannequin head on it or something like that. The other one that you may have is white with a blue rim around it. So right now I'm on page 5 of the pink book, and it's in the foreword. It's the first paragraph of the foreword, and I'm just going to start there. But in the meantime, I just want you to know that this work that we're going to be doing with Genevieve Behrend is not a linear process, although she loves order, and we will be exploring order as one of the invisible powers here. But this week I will share with you about why we dream and how we blueprint that dream. And we're going to be working on mainly chapters 1 through 6. So read and study that this coming week, chapters 1 through 6, okay, and the foreword as well. And then the following week, we're going to explore action. And then in week 3, we're going to take apart her story. A little bit of her story is going to come up in week 2 as well. But in week 3, really look at her story. I'm going to encourage you not to read ahead. If you've read ahead already, that's all right. But I want you to stick with me here and take a deep dive on, because there is so much content in this you wouldn't believe. In fact, I'm not even sure we're going to get through chapters 1 through 6 today, because it's such deep information. But you'll have the book. You'll get the start of working on that. And then week 4 is exploring what's in the way of us having our dream, and then how we use the invisible powers to move forward in that. Of course, we do that all the time, but it's kind of like a deeper dive. Okay, so on page 5, I want to just read this first paragraph for you. These pages have been written for the purpose of furnishing you a key to the attainment of your desires, and to explain that fear should be entirely banished from your consciousness in order for you to obtain possession of the things you want. This presupposes, of course, that your desire for possession is based upon your aspiration for greater happiness. For example, you feel that the possession of more money, lands, or friends will make you happier, and your desire for possessions of these things arises from a conviction that their possession will bring you freedom and contentment. In your effort to possess, you will discover that the thing you most need is to consistently be your best self. So this book was written back in 1920. And so first of all, it's archaic language. But second of all, there was something that was happening around that time. You know, this is the same time that the science of getting rich was happening, that you know, it was like the eyes were being opened up to being able to use these invisible powers to create or manifest. Now, in current day thinking right now, what we know is that quantum physics is proving that our thought does rearrange and change and create form. Through the observer observing the molecules actually changes the structure of it. But they didn't quite know that science, but actually when you read this book, I think you'll be surprised, and they were understanding. And of course, she's studying the work of Thomas Troward, who was a judge over in England. Actually, how he started coming into this philosophy was that he actually saw somebody hypnotized and went, wow, there's something more to our mind and how it works. And he started really diving deep into that to figure this out. And now we have the science, the quantum physics behind us that make this work. But the concept of the aspiration for greater happiness combined with being your best self, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this, but this was an idea that was just forming, and for it to be okay that people were manifesting, if you will, or creating or desiring, even the desire of having things, this was kind of new in thinking. So she says, great happiness and want of money. Money was the symbol of differentiated substance, that this substance filled all spaces. So this is one of the things that we've begun to explore and figure out, is that it's all around us all the time. But the point of this is that this creates freedom. And why is freedom important? Well, this is our divine nature, and it allows us to give our gift in the world, that gift that we came here, or gifts that we came here to give. And yet we get tied up in a lot of things from giving our gift in the world, or that happiness. See, think about when you're giving something that you really love, that happiness, that you can see that those are parallel. So think of when you're in survival, okay, and you need to pay bills or taxes, or you don't have a car, or you need to get to the doctor. Think of the frequency of that, right? You have been in this work long enough to know I have my frequency thermostat, which is an image of a thermostat from 0 to 100. And it's kind of like the frequency of your thinking, 0 being low, negative, and 100 being high, successful, whatever. And that if you put the frequency of not having a car, having to get to the doctor, having to pay your taxes, or not having enough money in your checking account, can you feel the frequency of that? Okay, can you feel it in your body? It's constricting and it's limiting. Now, think of a time when it all worked out, that things flowed, that you were happy and that you had freedom. How much more productive were you then? Right? I mean, it's not just about how you felt, but you were much more productive. As she says here, actually on page 6 towards the bottom, a feeling that greater possessions, no matter of what kind they may be, will of themselves bring contentment or happiness is a misunderstanding. No person, place, or thing can give you happiness. Right? Didn't we just say money's going to give us happiness? Blah, blah, blah. Right? No person, place, or thing can give you happiness. They may give you cause for happiness and a feeling of contentment, but the joy of living comes from within. So actually, see, we kind of have this all backwards, right? We have it backwards, and we think, oh, when I get the thing, then I'll be happy. And really it works the other way around. When I'm happy, I'll get the thing. And then we generate more of that happiness, right? The joy of living comes from within. Yes, as mentioned on the bottom of page 6, we do effort. So I wanted to clear this up. We do effort, but we do effort to bring joy. But it's not effort as in strain. It's rather in the word endeavor. And I love that word. Thoreau used that, to endeavor in the direction of our dreams. Endeavor means that you are in the motion. It doesn't mean you've completed it. It doesn't mean you've succeeded. It means that you are headed in the direction of. And that's what it's meant by here, the effort of strength. Because we talked, last month we talked about the idea of not working hard, that working hard actually can sometimes stop us. But the idea of endeavoring, am I moving in the direction? And one of the things that's important in moving in the direction of our dream is that the passion for our dream needs to be enough that the movement in the direction of our dream has enough push to impel us through the tough stuff. And that comes from passion. Okay, the laws of the universe, the way the divine works, is the way it works, not the way we want to make it work. But when we understand how it works, it can work with us. And that's what this is all about, right? Is learning these invisible principles and how to use them. Chapter 1, the exercise of the visualization faculty keeps your mind in order. Okay, remember I said she likes order, right? And attracts to you the things you need to make life more enjoyable in an orderly way. So, first of all, the exercise of visualizing. We're going to talk about visualizing a little bit deeper because this is a deeper sense of visualizing that we're kind of used to. But the exercise of visualizing is calisthenics. It's like calisthenics. It's like exercising. And you know that if you just wake up one morning and say, oh, I'm going to do my calisthenics, and then you say, well, that does me good for the rest of my life, right? Not, okay, it's like brushing your teeth once and thinking that's good for you, right? It's practicing, doing it on a regular basis. This is very key, and part of this invisible power. And then the second part of that is that it attracts to you the things that you need to make life more enjoyable in an orderly way. So she's saying here the universe is orderly, and we're going to go deeper into that as well. But the second piece of it, I've talked to you before about the principle of the wind, that the wind does not blow. There is actually a low pressure front that the wind comes to. And so these two things, one is the practice, and the other is the acting as if, is to be that vibrational frequency of the vision or the dream that you are creating in an orderly way. Then these things attract to you in the things you need to make life more enjoyable. And remember, more enjoyable is the freedom, is the place where you can give your gift in the world. So I know some of you really like to follow in the book, so I'm trying to, keep to the book here. So now, at the bottom of the first paragraph, okay, she mentions hurry is fear and consequently destructive, right? Let me go up to the beginning of that sentence. Having reached a state of orderly mentality, you are no longer in a constant state of mental hurry. Hurry is fear and consequently destructive. So I want you to think about that, because that's also one of these invisible powers. Think about when you're driving to an appointment and you're late, right? And you're trying to drive fast and you're in fear that you'll miss that appointment. Think of the energy of that, and think of what that, vibrational frequency kind of attracts to us, kind of creates around us. And if you're in a hurry, think about it. It also is as if you're coming from a place of lack. And think of the vibrational frequency of that. So I just wanted to point that out to you, that hurry is fear. And so think about that as you go through your everyday life. So you have studied into your dreaming about the 6 mental faculties. And here Genevieve talks about will. To hold it with will is not willpower. And will is actually tied up in both the passion, but it's also your volition, your ability to stay on track, to push through what's difficult and to continue to have your choice, to make your choice. And many of us give up the choice, not consciously. We really don't know we're giving them up, but we do choose to give up our choice. And so then I tell them, having enough passion in your dream to move you through the difficult things, right? That's what will is. Because to get to the concept of visualizing, we are always visualizing. And whatever is happening in your life right now is the result of the greatest accumulation of your thoughts that you're giving attention to. So a key to this work, and I've told you this over and over again, and I'll continue to, but like the basic foundation of this work is noticing what you're noticing. Pay attention to your thoughts. You must stand at the portal of your mind. This is the rigor of the work. Don't let anybody tell you that this is easy. This is to stand at the portal of our mind is one of the most difficult things to do. But once we get it down, this is incredibly powerful. So Genevieve talks of the invisible physical principles that work, like the airplane and the telegraphy, and now for us it's the internet. And she says, there are greater secrets to be disclosed. We will continue to explore the invisible principles that we can use and understand. But I love that she, even back then, had this awareness. If said before, it's almost egotistical to think that we can understand all of the invisible principles that are at work. But we are learning to do them. And one of these is visualization. And visualization isn't mere wishing. We can't wish things into existence. If you want to look it up in your book, she says, and mine's italics in here, it says, in visualizing or making a mental picture, you are not endeavoring to change the laws of nature. You are fulfilling them, right? And this is the divine. This is spirit. This is like all of those things that have been put in place for us to experience are greater. And the power of visualizing, she says, making a mental picture. Okay, we've talked about this before. What does it take to repattern an old negative behavior? 21 days if it's a simple one, 90 days if it's more difficult. But visualization is a powerful tool, and they didn't even so much know why back then, but they knew it was working. They experienced it. They felt it. And so once we learned the powers of this, it's kind of like a code out there, figuring out a code, but it's not to be against us. It's not to keep it for us. It's actually for us to get in alignment with so that we can express the divine in a greater way. And it doesn't work by letting doubt and fear get in, right? It does not work by thinking you already know this. If you think you already know this and your life doesn't reflect it, you know about it. You don't know it. You know about it. But it must become a visceral part of you. I wanted to share a story with you. There was a man that had done so much personal development work, and he felt he was enlightened, but he still had a longing. He'd heard of a monk that knew the meaning of life. So he made an appointment to meet this monk. And when he got there, the monk offered him tea, and he accepted it. As the monk prepared the tea, the man began telling him all the things that he had done to become enlightened. And the monk began to pour the tea. And the man told him all the things that he already knew about. And pretty soon the man felt the tea running onto his lap. He asked the monk, what was up with that? And he said, the cup cannot hold any more if it's already full. And I sat with my teacher and mentor one time, and basically I thought I knew all this, but my life was not reflecting this. And she said to me, Christi, I can teach you how to use these invisible principles to work the way they work, but I can't teach you how to make them work the way you want them to work. Now, the way I want them to work is actually the way they do work, but sometimes when we don't know how they work, think about if you were to sit down and work a sewing machine and never knew how to work it, right? You try to make it work this way, you try to make it work that way, but when you learn to use the machine, then it can work really for you. And why do I tell you this? Genevieve's version of visualization is very important, and we must be open to how it works at a basic level. It doesn't work when we let doubt and worry in. It doesn't work when we hurry or strain. She says, there is no power to prevent the combination of spiritual substance from becoming physical form. That's pretty cool, right? There is no power to prevent this combination of spiritual substance from becoming physical form. It is the nature of spirit to complete its work. Nothing can prevent your picture from coming into concrete form except the same power which gave it birth, yourself, right? So you are the only thing that's in the way of your visualization, your image of your dream to coming true. This is what this is based on, is the writing of Genevieve Behrend and of the Science of Getting Rich and all the stuff that was taking place. They figured out that part of the invisible power was that through our thought we can create. And it's just like the chair I'm sitting in. Somebody had an idea to create this chair. Now, this week is about forming that mental picture, that dream, that vision. And most of you have done that. But read chapter 4. Make sure you've applied the way it works through this teaching. Okay, I'm not going to go into it in depth. You can read it. It's called Operation of Your Mental Picture. I'm going to invite you to, on page 52 in the pink book and page 32 in the white book, I'm going to encourage you to memorize this next week. And if not memorize it, write it out and carry it with you and read it as much as possible. Because this is what Genevieve did, and we're going to use this throughout the month of helping us work through this content. So it's on page 52 towards the bottom of the page. It's the paragraph that starts in quotes because it's actually a paragraph that comes from Thomas Troward's words. My mind is a center of divine operations. The divine operation is always for expansion and fuller expression. And this means the production of something beyond what has gone before, something entirely new, not included in the past experience, through proceeding out of it by an orderly sequence of growth. Therefore, since the divine cannot change its inherent nature, it must operate in the same manner with me. Consequently, in my own special world, of which I am the center, it will move forward to produce new conditions always in advance of anything that has gone before. So this is saying that there is a substance and that our mind, our thought into this does create our own unique individual, creative individual self, right? So this week, read chapters 1 through 6. Really amazing, powerful stuff. The end of chapter 4, she says, if you can do this, there is no power to prevent your enjoying the fulfillment of the picture you have in mind or any other you may create. If you can do this, there is no power to prevent your enjoying fulfillment. And remember, enjoying is the divine in us. Enjoying the fulfillment of the picture you have in mind or any other you may create. Okay, so go forth and visualize this week.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. Here are 2 exclusive podcast listener offers. First, for a limited time, podcast listeners can work with Christi in person at a deep discount. Christi offers a unique coaching modality of her own creation that helps clients discover their own answers to where they're stuck and how to move forward. As one of her clients puts it, it always works. This transformative process is designed to help you identify blocks and create breakthroughs in your personal and professional life. As a thank you for listening to the podcast, you're eligible for a special discount. Normally $97 for a half-hour introductory session, podcast listeners get a $70 discount automatically applied if you use this link, masteringtheartoflife.com/podcast-IWD-offer. That's masteringtheartoflife.com/podcast-IWD-offer. And that link is in the podcast general description as well. Second, you can get the entire library of Mastering the Art of Life with PDF notes and worksheets for each lesson, plus bonuses at no cost at masteringtheartoflife.com/9-month opt-in, all one word, masteringtheartoflife.com/9-month opt-in. That link is also in the general podcast description.